Welcome, brothers and sisters, to Men Metal Mayhem, the podcast where the brothers men take a deep dive into the discographies of our favorite metal bands. I'm your host, Brother Paul, joined as ever by my two brothers and co-hosts, Brother John
Come out to Wisconsin. We'll have a few laughs.
and Brother Dave.
Shalom.
Season I don't know if that one got me. Season 3, Jesus Freaks. We are diving into the world of Christian metal, and today we are discussing Antestor's 2005 Unblack metal album, The Forsaken. Join us in these rites of death. This album was released January 5, 2005. Brother John, hit us with the top Christian songs of the day. Tell us what you were up to and give us your album pick.
Oh, with pleasure, Brother Paul. Well, the top Christian hits of '05 on the contemporary Christian charts, anyways, it seems that Third Day's song, Cry Out to Jesus, was number one. I will confess I have never heard of that, and I did not listen to it, so I cannot report on if that song is actually good, but, it's number one of the year. And then I referred to christianrock.com to find out what were the top alternative Christian songs of '05, because this is the kind of stuff, if anything, we maybe would have been listening to back then. And I recognized a couple names here. So number 5, Project 86's song, A Shadow on Me. I used to like Project 86, but by '05, I was no longer really listening to them. This would have been like probably 99 or 2000. We saw them at Life Fest, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, these guys are awesome. And so I was a fan for a times, perhaps half a time. But I haven't listened to them in a long time. But then, okay, so number 4, Pillar, Sunday Bloody Sunday. Never listened to Pillar, don't really know anything about them. Number
Pretty
3,
sure I saw them at Life Fest. I think they were kind of a rap rock type band, but I'm sure they shifted genres once that became unpopular.
yeah, it could be. Number 3, Striper, the song Reborn. And I did not know they were still putting out music by this time, because they were like an '80s kind of hair metal Christian band.
Yeah, they've
But
been
I guess
around a long time.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're still around. I'm not sure. Then number 2, Thousand Foot Crutch, the song Absolute. I listened to this one. I gotta say, it sounded a little bit like Linkin Park. So, for those of you out there who like that, check out Thousand Foot Crutch. Or if you've never heard Linkin Park, check them out if you love Thousand Foot Crutch. And
The secular alternative to Thousand Foot Crutch.
exactly. And then number 1 song, according to christianrock.com, of 2005, Disciple, with the song The Wait Is Over. I listened to this one too. Thought it was a little bit reminiscent of Evanescence, but with a guy singer. So, for those of you out there, you get it. Go check it out.
Well, not to rain on, well, to cut in here, actually, bunch of the guys from Living Sacrifice actually are, or at least were, touring members of Evanescence back in the day. And
Oh,
they
really?
yeah, and they had a side project. I think the drummer and some of the guys from Living Sacrifice had a side project called Soul Embraced, and Evanescence covered one of those songs called My Tourniquet. So,
That's hilarious.
yeah.
And
They should have
amazing.
gotten Ted Kirkpatrick to play
Oh.
drums.
Oh, man.
Would have come full circle.
My Tourniquet's a song
Exactly.
about Ted Kirkpatrick. Oh, we got to get Amy Lee on the pod to talk about her relationship to both Living Sacrifice and Tourniquet.
Absolutely.
All right.
Continue.
Well, let's see. So what was I up to in '05? I would have been finishing up my senior year of college. Still did not know what I wanted to do with my life at that point. So it was just aimless. And that January, so at Calvin, they call it interim or J term. It's like a month long sort of mini semester. And that year I was not doing any classes. So I was home in Wisconsin and I was looking back at some old pictures. I definitely had an epic game of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 going with Nate Dangle. And that I think was maybe the time that we were playing. And then he like had to go to work probably at Starbucks for like an 8 hour shift. And I just continued to play the entire time. And then he came back and then we resumed our game together. Just couldn't get enough of Heroes 3 back in the day. Oh man. So anyways, I was just pretty much hanging out, enjoying life before the reality of the working world would eventually set in. But that also 2005, as far as the album highlight, that's the year the Black Dahlia murder came out with Miasma, and that would have been their second album, I believe, at least their second full-length like main release. And I love this one. That they're one of like the heavier kind of metalcore bands that I really got into. They lean more like death metal, but had a lot of melodic riffs tossed in, just really fast pummeling stuff. So, check it out, Miasma. And if you're just looking for a song to listen to off that one, I really love Statutory Ape. That's a good song. So, check it out. Brother Dave, 05, what was it all about?
Yeah, '05. I was either the end of junior year or beginning my senior year at Calvin. And I think I was starting to look at the job market and was starting to get concerned about what I could potentially do with a psychology degree. Because I feel like we were raised with this very white middle class confidence that things were magically just going to work out. And I was starting to think, but how?
I mean, in fairness, things magically did work out for me anyways, so it all came true, but
Yeah,
how did it work out for you?
I had 3 years of doing fuck all basically, and then went back to school because it really didn't work out. But we
Oh
were
yeah, I totally forgot that you went for your PhD later. Crazy.
Yep. And had to like make up a bunch of classes before I could do PhD also. So I had a very poorly planned academic journey. My album pick for that year, I probably picked up right around the time it came out. It's a little album called Suspended Animation Dreams by the band Subterranean Masquerade.
Hell yeah.
These guys, they're kind of a psychedelic prog metal band. They have a rotating cast of characters. At this point, though, it was featuring vocals by a little guy who's shown up. Actually, I don't know how big he is. He might be a very large man for all I know. He's shown up on the pod a couple of times, though. Mr. Paul Coor of November's Doom fame.
To end civilization, we're controlled by big gray animals. Survival is the key for life. The hunter, Allah on his side.
I found this because of him. I was big into November's Doom at the time. He had a side project. I was on that. Big fan of his voice, and it sounds great on this album, which gave him a chance to kind of lean into his cleans a little more than he does on November's Doom, which is very much in his death growls most of the time. And despite mixing a lot of styles and ideas throughout this album, I also think it remains relatively accessible, which can be a challenge for some prog metal. Psychedelic, I think, leans kind of heavy into vibes and flow at the risk of feeling aimless, but the songwriting here keeps things focused enough while still indulging in some winding musical diversions. I think there's a lot to like about this album, and you should check it out.
Love it. You introduced me to them, and I still put them on from time to time. And can I just say, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Paul Coor used to be a really big guy, and then he had health issues and became a really small guy. So,
So both.
So in 2005, that would have been my junior year of high school. And that summer, I did a program in Cambridge, England. And I had done the same program in the summer of 2004. And that year, I met a guy who we shared a love of Porcupine Tree. And he introduced me to a couple of great bands, like chief among them was the Hope Conspiracy. So he actually then went on to write for Games Workshop and wrote some Warhammer 40,000 novels. But this in 2005, I met another guy who was really into weird experimental noise and grindcore music. So I was the metalhead in our cohort, and so we kind of bonded over, niche subgenres. And then he introduced me to like Asian horror films, like Ichi the Killer and Tetsuo and Audition and all the really kind of weird psychological depraved horror that our Asian compatriots offer us. So a lot of fun. My album pick is going to be Corrosion of Conformity's In the Arms of God.
Standing alone like a lightning rod. Sleep tight, my friend. You're in the arms of
What an absolute triumph of Southern/stoner rock. I love this album. Start to finish, so good. So many standout tracks, and the drumming. They had Stanton Moore of the jazz funk band Galactic play on this one, and his style just really pops. This one is just a master class. I liked the album that came before, America's Volume Dealer, but it was so much more mainstream and had a lot of mixed reviews. And then they absolutely redeemed themselves with this album. It's so good. And now we're going to move on to a new feature I like to call the Concert Report. Because, Brother John, you went out and saw some live music. Tell us about
I
it.
did. Yesterday, Sadie and I down in Milwaukee went and saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And they are one that, after having seen them live, I was like, what? I don't think I really knew their catalog very well. There's like maybe 3 or 4 real epic Christmas songs that are on our playlists and stuff that we listen to a lot at Christmas time. And, they're just like Christmas metal music. And I was like, that'd be pretty fun to see. And I'd heard they put on like a kind of a wild live show, and it was very cool. There's a lot of pyrotechnics, like just flames shooting around and lasers, and just like that a big backdrop with different images and stuff. So it's pretty fun, but I did discover they have a lot more like sort of mid-tempo rock ballads than I really realized. And so I would say like half the show was awesome and half of it was, I was like, okay, this song could be done and I would be totally fine with it. Get to the face melting solos and stuff like that. And they definitely got to that too. But so, as far as how awesome the show was, very, awesome stage production and everything. But some of their music was just a little slower than I was anticipating. And I guess I didn't really know that about them. So I would probably go see it again. But if I did, I would definitely say it'd be a good show to have some edibles and watch. That would make it, I think, even more enjoyable. So, if I go again, maybe that'll be on the agenda. But overall, I guess I'll say like 4 out of 5. Great job, Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Nice.
I don't know why I use a different ranking system for the live shows than what we have for the things we review.
It's canon now.
It's canon now. All right, 4 out of 5. There it is.
I do just want to say that for a brief moment, so Trans-Siberian Orchestra was created by John Olivia from the metal band Sabotage. For a moment, I thought that Johann Leva was the guy who had founded Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And I was like, wait, the singer from Arch Enemy made Trans-Siberian Orchestra? Like, what is going on here?
I had the same confusion, but not with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but with John Oliva's Pain, the kind of
Yes.
cheesy epic power metal band thing. And I was like, man, he really changed his style after leaving Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
But nope, different guy.
Yes. Too many Johans, too many Johns. So we will move to the year in metal and a couple of secular contemporaries to our good friends at Antestor. I'm going to start with the band 1349 and their album Hellfire. This is a band I was only slightly familiar with, but I listened to this one and I enjoyed it. And it made me sad that I missed them when they were on tour last year. And then secondly, we have Dimmu Borgir came out with Stormblast 2005. And I'm cheating a bit with this one since it is a re-recording and reissue of their 1996 album. But stylistically, the similarities are there, and plus, it features Hellhammer, who is the drummer of Mayhem, who we will hear about in just a moment. And then finally, this is the year that The Third and the Mortal broke up. And earlier this season, Brother Dave selected them as his album pick, and all of this will be germane in just a moment. So, playing on this album, we're going to move over to Antestor. We have Ronnie Vrede Hansen on vocals, Lars Vemad Stoksad on guitar and vocals. Then we have Vergad Gard Undal on bass, and Morten Sigmund Sigmund Madroy on keyboards. And we also have two notable session musicians. First, we have Anne-Marie Edvardsen from The Third and the Mortal on vocals. And most notably, we have Jan Axel Blomberg, better known as Hellhammer, on drums. Hellhammer is the drummer for noted black metal band Mayhem. In fact, when Antestor first formed under the name Crush Evil, Euronymous from Mayhem and Faust, the drummer of Emperor, had this fun exchange. Faust, don't you think there is something terribly wrong when it has gone so far that we have Christian death metal bands here? Any advice on how we should kill them? Euronymous, it's bad enough we have a couple of society bands, but a Christian band is too much. But don't worry, we have plans. This will not continue for a long time. And first off, I really can't help but think of Faust as just like an over-the-top Tim Robinson character. Like, oh, we should kill these guys. He comes across as a real like just try-hard piece of shit. But Hellhammer, he knew Antestor's vocalist and took the job as basically a fuck off to all his bandmates and the entire black metal scene, basically saying, hey, no one owns me or decides what I do, which big props to him. I think we talk a lot about kind of Christian hypocrisy and the politics of Christianity, but like, I don't know, the black metal guys, it's such a
So many of them are clowns.
yes, that is the perfect way to put it. They insist upon themselves, they're clowns, and it's like, it's a Christian band.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not Horde.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this album was released via End Time Productions and produced by the band and Borga Finstad, who we remember from producing Extol's album that we discussed last week. It is 10 tracks, just under 45 minutes, and it kicks off with track number 1, Rites of Death. Starts off with some haunting female vocals, courtesy of Anne-Marie Edvardsen, and then we get some furious black metal riffage, and right out of the gate, This is not Horde. Like this actually, this sounds good. You're like, all right, I'm into it. Then at about 134, it goes into kind of a clean instrumental break. We get some big church bell tolling, which I am always on board for a big old church bell being tolled in a metal song.
Mhm. Hell yeah.
Yeah, the section at 308, we get some good descending riffs. Man, this song is really, really catchy. I think it's a straight banger. Brother John, I am interested in your thoughts.
I mean, practically word for word what you just said. You like checked off every single point. I don't hold on a sec. I think there's a couple of little things that maybe you didn't quite say, but yeah, that part at the beginning, I guess I'm not really is like she wasn't singing words. It's like a folk melody song,
Yes.
almost kind of like
Mhm.
is that a rite of death or something? Because it's like what I feel like there's a similar kind of scene in Lord of the Rings where someone has died and there's a similar kind of song going on. So yeah, I guess I wasn't sure if that's maybe a sung rite of death or something. In actuality, be kind of cool. But yeah, the vocals are on point. The guitar tone sounds real nice. It just sounds really good, and it's like furious black metal. I think you said that, and that's in my notes too. But it's like melodic and symphonic as
Mhm.
well, in a way. Like Horde was like basement black metal. This is like symphonic black metal. So there's a
Mhm.
difference, and this is the
Yes.
kind that I like because it actually sounds like something fun and cool is happening, not just annoying noise. Um, so a lot of good atmosphere with those tolling church bells. I love that part. And then like at the 315 mark, there's sort of this wailing guitar soloing, which is really not a black metal thing at all, as far as I'm aware. Kind of sounded or reminded me a little of Opeth, like Blackwater Park era, like what they were doing on the guitar. So kind of mixing up the black metal with some other genre styles, I thought, and that was kind of nice. So yeah, I say this song's a fucking bop right out of the gate, word for word from my notes. Brother Dave, what did we miss?
Uh, well, you didn't say that it was a banger hard enough because this song is an absolute banger. Um, it leans so hard into genre tropes, but in such a good way, I can't even fault it. Like it is the black metal song almost. They even do. I think the only thing in my notes that you guys didn't hit at like 240, they do the classic transition from eighth notes into triplets. That can often sound jarring, but they pull it off so well. It's just everything's good here. The only thing that rubbed me a little bit wrong was that solo because it had this kind of that I felt like the tone didn't fit with the rest of the song. But the rest of the song is still so solid, and the solo wasn't that bad or anything. That I mean, go listen to this song. It's awesome.
Well, that takes us to track number 2, Old Times Cruelty. It's the train a coming cruelty blues. Um, Brother John.
All right. Well, so they gave us some sort of folk metal stuff in the last song with the intro. And again, here they've got some acoustic guitar giving that folk flair. So I like that kind of infusion into what they're doing. Then at about 41 seconds after that folky intro, they get that black metal tremolo picking and blast beats on the drums. It's like, all right, here we go. A minute 25, there's an instrumental bridge that kind of breaks it down to halftime. That they have some nice tom work on the drums. And there's like these orchestral hits that'll punctuate it, like just, keyboard kind of orchestral hits. And that sounded pretty cool, I thought. So, and then at 225, we get some choir chants. That part was pretty epic. Just more of that operatic sort of symphonic stuff mixed in, which, like I said, is kind of my preferred style of black metal. More a la Dimmu Borgir and less a la Horde. So two for two so far. They're off to an awesome start on this album. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. And you are saying symphonic, but I think it's just all keyboards here, right? Like
Right.
there's no symphony.
They're making
in
it sound that way, though.
They do really lean into kind of the epic direction while
Mhm.
still not needing to hire a whole bunch of symphony people. Yeah, I really like the kind of folky acoustic intro. I really liked kind of the riffing throughout is really good. It works really well with the drums. Hellhammer, incredible drummer. And I like the epic direction that they push this song in, particularly. I think it all kind of comes together at the end once they go into the more tremolo picking at 3:30. It's just like, it's big and it's just such a good song. This one slaps also. Brother
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. No, Brother John, every single timestamp I had, he called out as well. It was the first mention of ominous synths at 125. So, God, sneaky synths are back. I've missed them so
back,
much.
baby.
This one's really solid. No complaints so far. So let us move on to track number 3, Via Dolorosa. Brother Dave.
This one, it's the most black metal intro ever, with just a zillion unresolved tritones and bell adjacent keyboards, and then spoken word, and then the keys turn into the orchestral tones, and it's just like black metal incarnate. We get more kind of the folksy elements around a minute 20 with some noted fun tom work from our boy Hellhammer. I love me some good tom work. And at 2:15, they slow it down into something kind of classical, something that might even fit on a Tourniquet album, especially with like the hammer-on trills that they do in part of it. But they do it in a good way too. Like the thing about Tourniquet, we liked a lot of what they did. Not just me, all of us. We liked things that they did. And their classical elements were one of the things that they did really well. And I like seeing classical in addition to folk showing up here. This one, I feel like this one gets a little repetitive by the end, but still, it's a good song. There's so much good stuff in here. Brother Pablo.
So, yes, I think that we need to acknowledge that I think this one has a real big synthy keyboard opener, and it's got the very twisted black metal spoken word, and that's very Dimmu, and I like that. When they have that shift at 120 to the more kind of folk part, that's when the song starts to change for me, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And then at about 4 minutes, when he does the Via Dolorosa Memento Mori, it's so cheesy. But God, there's like a really nice keyboard interlude that's really nice. So there are elements of this song that really work for me. And then also I'm like, hey, I've been known to enjoy some cheesy black metal, but this is not doing it for me.
Pushing it, buddy.
Yeah, you're on thin ice, Antestor. So this one's a bit mixed for me. And I should say that the Via Dolorosa is the way of sorrow, and that's the path that Jesus walked, the cross from Jerusalem to the crucifixion site at Golgotha. So that's known as the Via Dolorosa. Brother John.
Not a bad song, but it didn't totally hook me in. So, I mean, that is my ultimate conclusion, but you guys kind of hit on the other stuff that I had. And I did notice that sounded a lot like Tourniquet. And I was like, you know what? That part's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, ultimately, this one, didn't totally hook me in, but it's good.
Yeah, well, that takes us to track number 4, Arad, which is a subdued piano interlude, which I think it should probably be a tad shorter, but it's not a bad song. Brother John.
Yeah, I really like this one. More folky elements thrown in there. We get some flute, sort of that sung folky sounding melody like they had in the first song. But I think this one was a little more upbeat, less dirgy. But yeah, there's some orchestral sounding strings. I mean, I assume all done on the keys, but that comes back in this song too. So yeah, all in all, very nice little interlude.
Yeah, this one was nice. It I feel like it kept the mood while giving us a little reprieve from like the most extreme elements of the black metal, which is good for album flow overall. I didn't think it was overlong. I just liked it.
Wonderful. Well, track number 5, we're midway through already. The Crown I Carry, Brother Dave.
This one starts off with some kind of more straightforward death metal riffing, though it switches back to that black metal tremolo for the chorus. We've got kind of a classic black metal riff at a minute 20, then an abrupt transition to a solo at 1:54. The solo, it's a bit wailing and meandering, I think, and it goes on for nearly a minute. I don't know if it really worked for me, but afterwards, 3:45, we get a nice folky riff again mixed into the black metal, and we get another solo then at 4:20-ish, some sweep picking. It feels like it wasn't written in conjunction with the rhythm. Like, technically the chords all worked together, the notes all work together, but it just kind of felt like two things that were happening at the same time to me. I feel like I've really liked almost everything they do on this album, except the solos aren't hitting for me. Brother John?
Yeah, I don't know. This one had a bunch of cool stuff that I liked, but also some stuff I didn't like so much. So at the very beginning, they start off with this cool riff, but it's only like the first couple seconds, and the guitars kind of sound like a swarm of bees. That's what I have in my notes anyways. I don't know. Like Dimmu Borgir has some songs like that too, where it's just sort of like this droning effect, which sounds kind of cool. But then after they do that for a few seconds, then they have this sort of uninspired sounding riff that goes on for a while, and that's the intro. I didn't really love that part. But like later on, just after the 3-minute mark, they're like kind of using the keys to pepper in these pleasant sounding melodies over the other stuff they're doing. So again, I thought it was, just kind of mixing up stuff that you don't normally hear in black metal and peppering in different sort of things to kind of keep my attention. I liked it. And this song ends on a fade out.
It won't be the last fade out on this album. Yeah, this one, it starts out with those real kind of beefy death metal chugs that they're doing. minute 40 seconds, it's like, no, we're gonna make this black metal, like real black metal. And I believe they get some pianos and some horns, which are, probably the synth horns coming in, which makes this song feel really big. And I hear what Brother Dave is saying about all the guitars. They have a real soaring feel to them, which feels a little out of place. Like this one's weird. It's incongruous, I think would be the word I would use. But it's not bad, but it doesn't there's something a little off about sections of it, particularly, yeah, the wailing guitar solos that are just like, I think, was this the one that, yeah, I'm trying to think of the analogy I had. I didn't write it down, but these guitars, there's something going on there that I'm like, what is happening with these solos? So, yeah, but I'm not fully out. This is relatively speaking still a decent song. Which brings us to track number 6, Betrayed. Brother John.
Yeah, this one starts with some key-centric stuff, like real chimey sounds. I don't even know. So it's really similar to the intro of the Children of Bodom song, Mask of Sanity. So I guess I'm not really sure what exact effect is, but it's almost like chiming glass bells played on the keys or something like that.
I use the term Christmas bells.
Yeah, there you go. Christmas bell. That's pretty much what it is. That I thought was pretty cool. I like that intro in the Children Bodom song as well. The verses sound good. Nice flow to the music. They have that sort of orchestral folky horns thing zazzing up the sound a little extra bit. Just at 2:01, there's this furious blast beat part where the music is just swelling up and there's these epic chants in the background. That was very nice. At 3 minutes, they kind of come out of that heavy part they've been building up to. There's this little interlude that has these plucked orchestral strings, like somebody plucking on a violin or something like that. And then sort of a searing guitar solo. I don't know. I'm liking everything they're doing in this song. It's pretty sweet. Brother Dave?
Yeah, actually, I think this song slaps. And what really stood out to me was the just chord progressions that they use. I felt like there was a lot of motion in them that kind of brought us all over the place, in contrast to, say, Horde, which would all just alternate between two chords. You go up and down. This one, like, the chord progression takes you on a journry. I really liked it.
There's musicality to it.
Yeah, and there
we
was
haven't
really
heard
nice...
in black metal on this season before.
There's really nice interplay between the guitars and the keys throughout. And then, like, after just ragging on their solos a little bit on the last song, I really like the solo that they do on this one at 3:12. It's like a classical-ish little thing. And it does a really good job, I think, of like building back up to the heaviness it takes us out. I have noted here that I found the ending odd on this one, but I don't remember what they did that made me write that. Brother Paul?
Yeah, so going back to the Horde comparison, how Horde has the two riffs that they do and they just alternate. On the first track, Rites of Death, like that is what is happening, but they do it well and they layer on more things than just whatever thinness and lack of ability Horde is doing.
This is a really full album.
Yeah, so even if it's just they're doing the two chords, back and forth, hey, they only did it for, the first 20 seconds before they went into a real song, as opposed to these two chords are the song, baby. I'm gonna go back and forth. But onto this one specifically, yeah, I wrote, sneaky synth intro with the Christmas bell-esque sound before we get into the black metal. A lot of horn flare in the background, which is not a bad thing. I think, oh yeah, there's some melodramatic spoken word going on in this one, which I'm fine with, but watch yourself, you know. Particularly after that first strike of Via Dolorosa, Memento Mori. And this one, okay. So they do this sneaky little pizzicato riff at 306, which is and then right after that it gets even cheesier with the sneaky synths, and it is like full on Dimmu kind of at their worst and cheesiest. And I remember it, and I kind of love it. I love a little bit of cheese in my black metal, but it stands out. I'm like, oh, is it not quite tasteful enough? Is it a bit too much?
I like that part.
Yes,
I like that part too.
I remember it. I'm like, it's fun. It's, I don't know, but I think it's right on the edge. But now we are going to open up our segment, Lyrical Tactics, Vocal Gymnastics.
Lyrical tactics, vocal gymnastics.
Because despite the kind of, cheesy sense, this is a really dark, relatable song. I say relatable, but it's about a man contemplating very seriously the idea of suicide. So I want to see what you boys have to say about that first. What were your thoughts reading these lyrics?
I really liked what they were doing lyrically here. It seemed very honest. I think whenever you've got a Christian band and they're diving into a deep topic, you run the risk, or I'm afraid of running into them just being real glib about it and being like, well, Jesus makes it all better. And that doesn't happen here. This is a serious contemplation of death and what might happen. And I mean, this whole album is kind of musings on death to a large extent. And I love the gravity that they have here, and I love the line that stands out to me particularly is near the end when he's like, if the Christians that I've seen represent the true God of heaven, then it's not a place I want to be. And I always like when people can be critical of their own ideology also, and of the people that are theoretically on their side. I think that's a very, very healthy thing, in addition to thinking about difficult topics like suicide.
Very well put. As I was reading this one, it's kind of like his plea for help, because the part that you said, if the Christians that I've seen represent the true God of heaven, then it's not a place that I want to be. But then the next line is, but if I'm blinded, please open my eyes and help me now. So he's like, basically, he thinks Christianity is true, but he's not totally seeing it impact a lot of the other people who claim to be Christians. And he's just kind of questioning his faith and, the point of existence and that sort of thing. So I don't know. It's interesting. You don't see this kind of subject matter usually in Christian bands' lyrics, or really any lyrics, maybe.
And even in like secular metal bands, at least when they're talking about suicide, it's often kind of like as just a story or even as a glorification. I feel like it doesn't often dive into the psychology of it that much. It's just like, I'm a sad boy, I'm gonna end it now. It's very facile.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that, okay, as somebody who's struggled a lot mental health, and at various points throughout my life had thoughts of suicide. This song, I think, really threads that needle of like, it doesn't glorify it, but it's not glib about it at all. For coming from a Christian perspective, a Christian band, it's not like I feel this way, but God has the answer. A lot of it, he's like, I'm calling out to you, and please help
Yep.
me. It's a desperate
Mm-hmm.
cry, and did such honesty here that I think a lot of most bands, but particularly Christian bands, would shy away from. My life took more than it gave. Like, life is really, really hard, and it can be absolutely shitty. And a lot of times, if you go to other Christians for help, you do get those canned responses of like, well, just pray, or you know what, things will get better, or God's there even if you don't. And that's not helpful, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm, I don't want to say astounded by the honesty, but it's just you got to wonder if like this comes from a very personal place, which
Mm-hmm.
that's
Well,
I think another
the name of the album is The Forsaken. I mean, he truly seems as if he feels he's been forsaken by God, basically. And he's kind of calling out for help. And
Mm-hmm.
we didn't talk about this before, but like the cover of the album, it's like this boy kind of, there's like the angel and death kind of trying to get his attention, and he's like going towards death, it looks like.
yeah.
So it all kind of ties together with those themes. And speaking of the album cover, I had this in my notes. It was done by Necrolord, who has done the art for countless metal album covers, including Winter Sun, which we covered here on the pod. But like on
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia, the list was got to have been more than like 100 or 150 album covers that he's done. So
So
I thought that was pretty cool.
he's sort of the godfather of the blue album art supremacy. And this one is very, it's shades of blue. Though at the bottom he's got some colors, but I mean, yeah, he did the Storm of the Lights Bane by Dissection, which is just a classic, and yeah, really, really good artist.
And one last note on these lyrics. I think they make a real smart move in maintaining the gravitas by not answering the question.
Yeah.
Like, if they'd come through at the end and like had Jesus fix it all somehow, it eliminates what makes this song good. The point of this song is wrestling with the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think at least evangelicalism doesn't like uncertainty. Christianity
absolutely
does
not.
not thrive in uncertainty and wrestling with issues, wrestling continually with issues, which I think is one reason why in Christian circles like mental health struggles are just disregarded, because it's like, well, if it was it you're not praying hard enough. This is supposed to be fixed. If it's an issue, like, pray to Jesus, it'll be better. And if it's not, well, you're not praying hard enough, or it's not real, or blah blah blah. So
Yeah, I, I forgot where I heard it, but I think it's absolutely true. Somebody said that evangelical Christians were the least curious people he'd ever met because they
100%.
already have all of the answers. They don't need to be curious. It's sad but true, in the words of the Bard Hetfield.
Uh,
So, well, on that note, let us go to track number 7, Veil of Tears, Brother John.
All right. Well, this one starts out pretty slow, has sort of a plotting intro, some spoken word for the first verse, and I'm not sure how I feel about the spoken word. It's maybe getting a little overuse here, but this song almost is like a funeral dirge or something like that. The guitar sound is good, but I don't know if I want a song that is this slow. They do pick up the pace though a little bit later on, so it's kind of getting good after the 3-minute mark. All in all, this one's a little bit overlong, didn't totally hold my attention, but not bad for background music.
John, you and I are in absolute agreement.
It's
although
like the third time that
I know.
we've said you hit it all my notes.
Well, I might be more negative on this one because I think this one's a hard pass. I don't like the spoken word vocals that he's doing and the weird voice.
The assembler of souls absorbs all within this reach. The seemingly perpetual lost doom.
And by the time the song actually picks up, like I'm fully out by that point. There's no coming back. So I'm out for those reasons, Brother Dave.
Yeah, this one was okay, but yeah, I felt like it was a mishmash of ideas and like they were trying to make a song that builds over time. And they halfway did that, but not in a very great way. There's little bits here and there that I like, but overall this is one of, if not the worst song on the album.
Well, track number 8, The Return. Brother Dave, tell us about this.
Back to some frantic black metal, but it's fun and it's catchy riffs. I love it. And then we get like a little melodic solo line kind of going on behind the vocals at 143. It really works. And then that opens up in kind of an instrumental section and another more prominent solo. I feel like the solo here fits better than many of the other solos on the album. And then we get a quiet part around 413 and another solo that leads us out. None of these solos were like the most mind-bending thing to me, but on YouTube, Mr. QWERTY 44503 554 shit. Mr. QWERTY
You got to get it right. We got to give props where they are deserved.
Mr. QWERTY 4450 3 months ago said that solo is mind-blowing. This is so underrated.
Oh.
So maybe I'm wrong about the solos. The internet has spoken.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that long is sort of a long, mournful shredding section that like he's doing like a slow solo basically from 202 to 309. So it's like a slow for like a minute. And this, again, is uncharacteristic for black metal, but I do like this infusion of the different elements that they're doing. It's definitely not just another black metal song. You know, they're putting their own stamp on it. They're doing their own thing, and I think it works well. Although I do think this slow solo is probably too long, but the fact that they did it, I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, this song really is. It's a lot of extended guitar solo / noodle fast, which is fine. I think it works well. But I do want to highlight there is some relentless drumming in that intro. Like Hellhammer, he's going to work on this. Like he's not pulling his punches. Like he showed up and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do work. I'm a really good drummer." And
I'm gonna praise the Lord with this one.
He was
anointed.
Oh, so anointed. This is war music, and it does start with the fury.
So, I mean, nothing but props to him. And the band, I should say, Antestor, they had nothing but great things to say about working with him. But yeah, this is it's a noodle fest. And at 3:30 we get some more orchestral flourishes. This is a good one. So that takes us to track number 9, As I Die, and this has a very 90s mellow death vibe to it, which I like. And then it gets kind of into a groovy black metal riff at about 1 minute, and the drums are really big on this one. A lot of toms, a lot of like floor bass. We get the Bodo Mask harpsichord sounding bit at 226.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that part.
Yep, I knew you would. I was like, okay. So they're throwing in a lot of different genres and styles in here. So it's a very, I won't say generic black metal album. It's black metal done well within the confines of black metal, but they're also venturing outside and throwing in more influences, which I enjoy. We then get the soaring operatic vocals that begin at 3:55. And I get it. I get it. I get the vibe, and I think it almost works, but not quite.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
It works. It sounds like the diva Plava Laguna from The Fifth Element, and I loved it. So jot that down in your little notebook.
I'll try,
your
but I think
receipts and your lollipops.
get the fuck out of here. I mean, I think when she hits that real big high note at the end, that does not land for me. And then this song has the most awkward, abrupt fade out I think I've ever heard. So there's a lot of good here, but boy, I do not think it sticks this landing. Brother John, continue with your thoughts.
Well, I mean, you pretty much talked about all this stuff. Although, I don't know, maybe you had a different opinion, but there's like these clean, chanted sounding vocals that I didn't really like too much. It's like sort of a deep baritone voice singing. For some reason, it just didn't sound that good to me. But overall, the rest of it I liked.
Simple as that. I was not big on this one. It seemed completely out of place to me. My first note here is power metal. What? And then we get some kind of folky stuff. And then that harpsichord bit, it feels like speed / power metal. And it's like, why is this on a black metal album? It just kind of like, it's technically each section is pulled off fine. They're good musicians, but like, what was going on here? And I felt like it was just kind of incohesive as a whole. And overall, this one just did not do it for me.
Brother Dave, you must like your coffee black, no sugar or cream, just the way you like your black metal.
I do.
Without any extra weird stuff mixed into it.
I know. Look at me not wanting weird stuff in my music.
Well, let us see if you want this one. The final track, Mitt Hjerte, which is Norwegian for my heart. Brother Dave.
Oh, we get this one's nice. You know, we get some orchestral keys, a nice solo over it. It's just instrumental. There's no vocals, and it just kind of, you know, takes us out with a solo over keys for the most part. It doesn't fade out. I think the only thing that I don't like about this song is that it has one final hit right at the end to be like,
final orchestral hit, no fade out needed.
One take Willie.
Yeah, that That seemed like a real weird choice to end it. But otherwise, I thought it was a decent ender. I'm just going to forget that note.
Yeah.
Brother John.
No additions to your comments. You hit all the nails right on the head.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's a bit weird as a closer. It's not bad, but I think the guitar noodling on this one sounds very retro. And that's what I was thinking about earlier is, on a different song. I'd confuse it with this one. But the guitar sounds very, I want to say like 80s or 90s retro. And I'm like, am I in a Miami warehouse, undercover, the drug bust's about to go down. I'm at the seedy docks. Like, that was the vibe I got, and it felt kind of out of place. But ultimately, it was an okay song. And with that, let's kick it over to our resident rankings expert, Brother John.
All right, you Jesus freaks. Our final segment is Bop or Flop, where we decide, does the album slap or is it crap? We have honed our patented 6-tier ranking system, going from 6 all the way down to 1. Of course, we have the bops, a perfect 6, unassailable. God has truly shined his divine light on this album. A 5, like to stand on that thing. A banger we could easily listen to again and again. A 4, or that's doable. A very solid album, worth checking out. And of course, there are the flops. Not sure that we'll need them today, but a 3, it's just, it lacks zazz. 2, sorry, it's not my cup of tea. And a 1 belongs in a garbage can. Well, my boys, I thought that this was a great album. I had never even heard of Antestor prior to doing this season, but a song or two of theirs had popped up in the algorithm after listening to Horde, I think it was. And so I was cautiously optimistic going in for the full listen. I was like, okay, that one song sounded pretty good, but let's kind of see how this all plays out. But yeah, I was happy with this one. It's very polished. It's not basement black metal. This is nice, well recorded black metal with the orchestral kind of stuff in it. It's great. So my hopes were certainly not dashed to pieces. This album is legit. I like how they're infusing different elements into the black metal to give it kind of their own flair, and it's the whole thing. It's not getting bland. They're mixing it up in different fun ways. So overall, I thought it was a great experience. I would like to stand on this thing. I'm giving it a 5.
Very nice. After listening to this album, I need to amend my rating of Horde. Antestor is good black metal, and Horde is not. I mean, I don't like giving low ratings, and I think that was part of why I gave it a 2. But what the hell's the bottom of the scale for if we never use it, right? So let's bump Horde down to a 1 where it belongs. Now, Antestor, on the other hand, is just good. I mean, we got great riffs, we got tight drumming, compositions that keep me interested, all with really good production. I like their mix, like Brother John said, of like kind of straight up black metal, but with a smattering of folk and classical other influences to keep it fresh. And the Christianity here, it's there, but blink and you'll miss it. It's definitely not preachy, and honestly, the lyrics are like better than most satanic black metal. It's a lot of musings on sorrow and death rather than borderline comedic takes on evil. So I would listen to this over traditional black metal themes basically any day. My minor gripes with some of the solos and some of the lackluster songs, they're just that. They're minor gripes. This album is great. I'd like to stand on that thing. It's a solid 5.
I like this album, and I am going to call it a doable thing. And I had given it a 4.5. I'm going to give it a 4.75. this is an album I like listening to. It's solidly done symphonic black metal. Are there a couple missteps? Yes, there are. On the whole, I think it's solidly doable. And when you contrast it with Horde, it feels even more like Horde was just a gimmick and never a serious endeavor. Whereas these guys they sound legit. They set out to make a good album and they succeeded. They make black metal with, you know, Christian themes, but again, it's not preachy and it's introspective and it's honest. So I would definitely recommend this. I'm gonna have to give this another go to see if I can bump it to a 5, but right now I'm gonna stick with my 4.75 because this is a good album. Well, brothers and sisters, that's all for this week. Stay tuned for the next episode where we discuss Demon Hunter's 2010 album, The World is a Thorn. Until then, stay metal, my brothers.
Heaven yeah,
Heaven yeah,
brother.
brother.